Sunandaji, first of all, welcome on Times Network. Just tell us about your journey. Who was your inspiration to join Vedanta, and how long it's been you being a part of Vedanta Academy?
So, as you know, my father and guru is Swami Parthasarathy, and I believe I would have picked up the interest quite early in life. But consciously, I would say around 16, I had this deeper interest to find out more about the subject because it had a lot of meaning. And the very purpose of life and living is what I found in the subject. So my association with Vedanta would go back in time. The Vedanta Academy was started only in 1988. And I've been associated with the Academy ever since.
Lovely. So now when we see that there are a lot of youths participating in such activities, they also want to add their role, their part to the society. How does Vedanta help them achieve those goals?
Well, what you find in the world is, one set of people are very active, dynamic, efficient, progressive, successful. But by their own admission, they seem to have lost their peace of mind. In fact, if they want to be happy and peaceful and relaxed, they've got to get away from work. That's the general attitude. Right. And then you have those who are happy-go-lucky, peaceful, joyful, but by no means achievers. And then you wonder whether it's ever possible to be successful and peaceful at one time. So here is a subject, it is a science of life and living that teaches every person, particularly the young, how to combine both dynamism, success, efficiency, and be completely relaxed, peaceful and happy.
Okay, so for the general public, those who are watching this interview right now, what is Vedanta and how is it relevant to the modern world today?
Vedanta is the science of life and living. It actually introduces yourself to yourself. When I say that, when a human being is born, unlike all other creatures, every other creature born knows exactly how it must live its life. All other creatures, you could say, tread a beaten path. Right. It's all set for them. But in the case of a human being alone, there is what we call choice. A human being, you could say, is blessed with this choice in life. In other words, to put it simply, you could be placed in the best of situations and be miserable. You could be placed in the worst of situations and come out in flying colors. So since we have this choice, we need to know how to make the choices. So here is a subject that not only introduces yourself to yourself, you know who you are and you know how to bring out the best in you. I'm putting it very simply. Of course, Vedanta doesn't stop there. First of all, it teaches you to live a complete life, and then ultimately leads you to what most people would perhaps ponder on. What's the meaning of life? We're born into this world. What am I supposed to achieve? Where did we come from? Where are we going? There are many questions relating to human life which most people don't know. So Vedanta is a subject that helps us find those truths.
Interestingly, now we have seen that there are youths coming from different, genre of businesses, the jobs that they do, and they are interested in the spirituality, though they don't know about it. So what is Vedanta Academy and how do you train the youths over there, the students?
In the Vedanta Academy, the whole program aims at all aspects of the human personality. We have what you could call an outer personality, the body, which acts. Two things that the body does. It perceives the world and you respond, you act in the world. This is your outer personality. But you also have an inner personality. Every human being has an inner personality, which is constituted of one's mind or manas and intellect or buddhi. In fact, it is this buddhi, the intellect, that sets the human species apart from the rest of creation. Now, in the academy, every aspect of the personality is looked into. The way we act, the way we perceive things, the way we feel. Everybody has feelings, but are your feelings a source of strength or weakness? Are your actions perfect or imperfect? How do you perceive things? In the right perspective, or do you not get it? So not only that, above all this, the ability to think clearly. See, whoever you are, if you're able to think clearly, you can act effectively in this world and be successful. So the overall personality development is what the program does for an individual. And above all, as I've said earlier, it leads one to the ultimate truth of human life, which is the discovery of your essential being.
So there has been a very massive impact over the people, those have obviously participated. So if we talk about the number of years that people have started participating, how is that growing? The impact in people's life, the youths, those who participate there and join the courses. So what is a massive change that we witnessed amongst them?
Now, you know, in life, everyone faces challenges. It's how you face life. It's not what you meet in life, but how you meet things in life. So what would definitely happen to students who have been studying there, whether they choose to continue with their study, research, propagation of the Vedanta knowledge to the world, or they could go back to whatever they want to do in life. Now, you are in a better position. For example, if you go back into the world, you would put two executives in one chair. That would be the dynamism that you would gain by this knowledge. And at the same time, you're peaceful, happy, and content. Those who are with us, you know, helping with the research and study and propagation, well, they are able to serve and sacrifice as young people to spread this knowledge and help people help themselves. So this is by and large what happens when, you know, people take up this course, either on a permanent basis where you can serve society and humanity at large, or you could go back to your work and families and ensure that you're able to take on various things in life with grace, with efficiency, and peacefully.
Swamiji, and you have propagated the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So how is this ancient sculpture knowledge is relatable to the modern world and impactful and connected?
When we talk about the scripture, when we talk about the Bhagavad Gita, what the Bhagavad Gita contains is the philosophy of Vedanta. And I've already said, it's a science. So when we talk about a science, it doesn't change with time or age, because a science only gives you laws of life. Laws remain the same. It was relevant to people in the past, it's relevant to people now, and it will continue to be relevant to people in the future, simply because they are laws of life. Like, for example, the law of gravitation.
Correct.
It was discovered at one time in the world, but it was relevant then. Even before it was discovered, it was relevant, and it will continue to be so, simply because it's a law. So what the scripture does, why it's relevant today, is because it gives us the laws of life, the laws pertaining to the human being, and with these facts we should be able to live a peaceful and happy life.
Since we talk about peaceful life, we also see in the modern world today, talking about the practical scenario which is there, we are seeing situations like wars, increasing rates of divorces, stressful life, depression, mental health issues are something that are talked about now, but those were not spoken about the same earlier. So how does Vedanta help or equip the people to deal with them?
Now, as far as problems go, there will always be issues. It's not like people in the past had no issues.
Right.
They had different types of issues and they were dealing with them in their own way. Today, the challenges are different. Now, Swamiji, my father, has written a book. It's called The Fall of the Human Intellect. And in that whole book, he explains, if there be problems in the world, internal or external, as you have just said, rightly so, it boils down to one fact: the fall of the human intellect. If you analyze any situation, it could be individual, it could be family situation, communal, it could be a natural situation or international. After all, the people who are dealing with it. So what is it that makes us fail to communicate to each other? So when emotions are high, when demands are high, when desires are high and uncontrollable, unreasonable, and the intellect, the thinking capacity in us is not sharp, not with, equipped with values, higher values of life, then you find there will be problems. And this could well be analyzed. I'm only putting it briefly, but there's a whole book that explains why we're saying so. To put it briefly, if there be individual problems or collective problems, as you have stated, there is but one source. I'm not simplifying it, but I'm only saying there is one source, and that is the fall or lack of use of the human intellect.
But how do we speak about those people, because we have already seen that since we talk about intellectual abilities of people, we are seeing that war-like situation, terrorism-like situation, an official crisis that we are facing in our regular job lives. We also see that it is an intellect of people that of course fails to understand the situation or face the situation. Sometimes people do take wrong decisions and cross the boundary and increase their own trouble. So how do we control such people? In what can be the timeline? What are the areas that people need to focus that Vedanta teaches them?
Now, we can't really generalize. We can't control the world. Correct. It's not possible to do that. Jesus Christ said, iniquity there shall be in this world. Iniquity, the right, the wrong, the good, the bad, honor, dishonor, joy, sorrow, war, peace. That's iniquity. There shall be in this world. But he says, "O unto you, if you be the cause." See, if each individual is able to attend to oneself, make sure that you are not the cause. And if every individual thought in that way, there would be far more peace than there is today. But we cannot control the masses. It's not possible. It works the other way. Start with yourself. So once you develop, see, there was one Christ, one Krishna, one Muhammad, one Buddha, one Mahavira. They influenced masses. So if you got to take responsibility of your life and what you contribute to society, then if each one thought in that manner, there could be a better situation.
Equally, when we talk about life, peace of life, how do we see that? What is the ultimate goal of human life, and how does Vedanta leads you to achieve it?
Now, what we are told by our masters is our original state is to be peaceful, blissful. That is our original state. Now, when you have no knowledge of your original state, you move into the world seeking happiness externally. But true happiness is within you. Whatever happiness you seek in the world, no doubt people find happiness, but it has a shelf life. It lasts for a while, and then it's gone. And then you start seeking something else, and this is never ending. You keep on searching for something. When I say that, the richest man in the world wants more riches. The most powerful person, not content, wants more power. We're not saying it's right or wrong, but the search never seems to end, no matter who you are. When you turn inward and find that happiness or state of happiness within yourself, that remains with you always. And this is the direction that the great masters have given us, to seek and find true happiness within oneself. It's possible, it may be difficult, but it's not impossible.
Okay, so does the knowledge of Vedanta helps to reveal the identity of God?
Now, when you use the word God, it's just another word that we use for something we don't know. You know, the sun rises every morning and sets every evening. Who's making that happen? Don't know. You put a seed into the earth, it sprouts into a plant, it becomes a tree, yields fruits. Who does all that? Don't know. You're seeing right now. You're able to see, you're able to hear. What's enabling you to see? What's enabling you to hear? Well, science tells you, goes up to the brain and the impulses that it would send to the organs to make you see. But what triggers the impulses? Who's maintaining that? So there are many, many such questions which we don't know, and we use one word, God, as the reason for everything. Now when we say that, see, I don't know if you're aware, in mathematics, when you're solving a problem, you want to know the height of this room. You would say, let the answer be X. And then you apply the rules of mathematics and derive an answer until you say X is equal to 20 feet. Similarly, the use of word God is like using X. It's not known. But then you apply the principles, the laws of Vedanta philosophy, the philosophy of life and living, and derive the answer for yourself. So that's the way one should go, in a practical, logical, systematic way, and find the truth for oneself. What is this Godhood? They're all synonyms, whether you use the word God or truth or reality or the self in you. The Sanskrit terms are Brahman, Atman in you. They all mean the same. But that is each one's discovery.
So what is unique in the approach of Vedanta, and how is it different from other spiritual paths?
Now, in Vedanta, being a scientific approach, you're not asked to accept anything. You are told to question everything. Whatever appeals to your reason, makes sense to you, then you have to apply it in your own life, verify it, and make it your own. It works something like this. Food will give you strength, no doubt. But not just food. You have to take in food, you have to chew it, you have to let it get digested in your system, and then it gets assimilated and then converts into physical strength. In a similar way, the food for thought given by this philosophy is not meant to just accept, but you listen to something, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to reject it. Take it for what it says. Think about it. You've got to reflect on these ideas. It takes time. And then you have to digest the ideas, verify them in your own life until it becomes a part of you. Until then, you're well informed maybe, you have knowledge of the subject maybe, but it doesn't transform you. You're not benefited by it. So when you assimilate the knowledge, then it converts into what you could call mental strength. And with that mental strength, you can deal with anything in the world externally or internally.
So the process to understand your own spirituality, your own real identity within, the internal apart from external, that process is something that you are saying that it is different from other spiritual paths.
I wouldn't comment on other spiritual paths because I don't know what they're doing. I can only say what Vedanta recommends, being scientific, logical and systematic. It would tell you how to help yourself, how to develop that inner strength with your own, a process, inner process. So in other words, you're not dependent on any personality. You're not dependent on any external factor. It's something like physical fitness. Physical fitness, you may go to a gymnasium, you may have a trainer, a good trainer, but it is of no use unless you train yourself. So another beautiful verse from the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam. You've got to lift yourself by yourself. So you may have the best of trainers, like I said, in the gymnasium, but unless you work it out, unless you sweat it out, you put in effort, you're not going to become physically strong. Similarly, Vedanta gives you all that you need to evolve, to develop yourself, but you have to help yourself.
So what are the avenues for those who are interested to the subject, those are interested to know more about the same?
Well, fortunately for us, we are close to Mumbai. Between Mumbai and Pune, we have an academy. We call it the Vedanta Academy. And it runs a 3-year residential course. It's meant for youngsters. And it's a full-time course where we teach the Vedanta philosophy, Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and also the books written by Swamiji. I mentioned one of them, The Fall of the Human Intellect. There are 4 important books. If one is not able to make it for the 3-year course, then we have the books available. There are 4 books that would be important for anyone. The first is The Fall of the Human Intellect. The second would be governing business and relationships, because we are engaged in work and we're relating to people at home and at work. So how do you manage both? And then a very important book, it's called The Holocaust of Attachment, where it deals with the problems of the mind. Again, individual mind and collective minds. It could be the mind of the family, it could be the communal mind, it could be a collective mind. What are the roadblocks and how to avoid them? That would be the whole book. And finally, the entire philosophy given in a very simple yet profound way is the Vedanta treatise, the Eternities. It begins with, what is Vedanta? Why do you need to study the subject? How should you approach it? What is the scope of the subject? And so on and so forth. It takes you gradually from basics to what is the ultimate truth of human life. That's the whole book. So these 4 books are important for anyone who's interested. And in addition to this, we have the 3-year course that we teach there in the academy available online in the form of e-learning. So with these programs, it should be possible for anyone to help themselves. And in addition to that, those who'd like to come to the academy, they're welcome. We have retreats, 5-day programs, where we package the knowledge in a way that even initiates people who have no idea what this knowledge is all about and where to start could help themselves.
Okay, so how is Swamiji's work being propagated across the world?
Now, the graduates of the academy take this knowledge to various centers in India and abroad. They are placed, they've found places in different cities, and they have regular classes, retreats, programs for the public from time to time. So they are doing it on a regular basis in different parts of the world and in India.
Well, talking about such a spiritual path that we choose from Vedanta, if I talk about, then how is it changing the minds of people? So, as I was asking earlier as well, from day 1 to the end of the day of your 3-year course, how does it change the individual's individuality?
The various aspects of the personality, like I said, there are 3 aspects. Your physical body that acts. Most people act naturally for themselves. You could say most actions are self-centered. But we live in society. We live with other people. How far are we able to identify with others? Are we able to serve and sacrifice? Or are we only thinking about ourselves? So any society that is self-centered will have problems. When we think of living with each other peacefully, you're acting in an unselfish manner. So how to convert self-centered actions into unselfish actions? That would be one part of the training. Again, with relation to feelings, everybody has feelings, but naturally you would feel for yourself a maximum you can think of your family and friends. This is natural. Now, in the Vedanta treatise, the book that I mentioned, we understand that feelings would naturally flow towards your loved ones. There's nothing wrong with that. But what Swamiji tells us is, let your family or the unit that you feel for, identify, you're very passionate about, let that be the center, not the boundary of your interest. So you can change that. You will have feelings for your family and friends, wherever you are already feeling, But let that not be the center, not the boundary. So move from that. Think about the others. There are people around. There's so many, not only people, what about the animals? What about nature? We've got a duty to live on this planet with other creatures. So do we care for them? So that sort of empathy, that kind of identification you are supposed to develop. And that's an opportunity to do that in the academy. And lastly, but most importantly, it's the clarity of thinking. So when you develop a sharp intellect, it's like having your headlights on. Even in a dark lane, the headlights of your car will help you traverse the distance safely. So similarly, if you have a sharp intellect, no matter where you are, you will be able to guide yourself safely through life. So this is the overall development that is offered in the Vedanta Academy.
As we talk about the academy, we have seen that there are students in larger number, those who participate and get themselves trained. So that's one impact that Vedanta creates in their lives. How those students create an impact in the society?
See, the only way we can create an impact in society is to live that life ourselves. This whole approach is not to preach, but to live that life, to lead by example. So when you live that life yourself, you see how practical it could be for others. And that is the way we have learned from our Guru, and that is the way we are trying to live that life ourselves. So by example, you will have created a great impact on people.
Thank you so much, Sunandaji, for sharing your thoughts. Clearly, it changes our mind as well to have a prospect towards the inner spirituality that we really need to focus. And we also understand that how going on holidays, taking a small vacation is not the only break that you need. Thank you so much.